بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وعلى من تبع هداه إلى يوم الدين. Before I start, if the sisters can't hear me, please knock on the door. Just knock, we will hear it. If you could hear me, just don't know anything, inshallah. Al-Mufattirat, that's the last thing that we have covered up to. Al-Mufattirat means the fast breakers. Fast breakers, when we talk about them in Fiqh, we always talk about the fast breakers, which are the one that is materialistic. We don't talk about the spiritual one, because all these materialistic breakers are the ones that will entail that you have to do the day again, and you have to compensate for that day is invalid. Whereas the other breakers, which are more important, because the materialistic breakers, actually that would lead to the, fasting from the materialistic breakers should lead from fasting from the spiritual one. So we'll start with the materialistic one, and that is number one, al-aklu wa shurb. Food and drink. Food and drink, they could come through the following way: mouth or nose, or the glucose, which is the drip. So the food and the drink goes into the mouth or the nostril, nose, or through the veins, which is through the blood. All of that is from the fast breakers. And of course, they have to fulfill conditions, as we're going to see later on. The conditions is, for example, we're going to talk about, which is they are with the knowledge of the person that break the fast, and also we're going to talk about the intention, consent, and we're going to talk about remembrance as well, all of that. But let's just finish talking about the fast, the breakers themselves. Food, whether it is healthy or not healthy, whether it is beneficial or not beneficial. Same thing with the drink, whether it's healthy or not healthy. For an example, whether it is water or, like let's say, rose water or diesel or petrol, all of that will break. Whether it is food, normal food, or a piece of paper, a piece of cloth, okay, all of that, that would break the fast. And whether that the substance that you are eating it or drinking it, or even smoking it. So the smoke comes from the nose, you inhale it deliberately, then that would break the fast. So if the person, let's say, smokes a cigarette, okay, that would break the fast. Now, if I'm gonna get a different approach for this, so let's talk about each individual breaker with their conditions. So we'll add the condition to each breaker. So we'll say that this food and the drink and the intentionals, or the drip, if it is intentional, and if it is with the knowledge, and if it is with the consent, and if it is with the remembrance. If these four conditions are there, then the food and the drink or the drip would be breaking the fast. So if the person didn't know that the glucose breaks the fast, it will not break his fast. If the person who had eaten a piece of paper didn't know that the piece of paper would break his fast, it will not break the fast. If the person had drank diesel, knowing that he doesn't know it breaks the fast, it will not break the fast. But if the person had eaten food and he says that he didn't know it breaks the fast, that one really have to investigate. What type of person is this? Is he a revert? Maybe because he thinks fasting is fasting from talking, or fasting from maybe meat, not fasting from lentil. Because a revert. But he's a Muslim. And then we ask from the beginning, which country you live in, which planet you came from. If you're living, for example, in areas where there's no scholars who will tell you, fasting is not from the food, it's fasting from, for example, only drink, let's say. So then we will say that it will not break the fast. So the knowledge is very important. The proof of the knowledge is that Adi ibn Hatim and also the companions, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed the following verse of the Quran, that is, وَكُلُوا وَاشْرَبُوا حَتَّى يَتَبَيَّنَ لَكُمُ الْخَيْطُ الْأَبْيَضُ مِنَ الْخَيْطِ الْأَسْوَدِ مِنَ الْفَجْرِ. The ayah at the beginning was revealed as follows: وَكُلُوا وَاشْرَبُوا, and eat and drink, حَتَّى, until يَتَبَيَّنَ لَكُمْ, it's clear for you, you could see that, الْخَيْطُ الْأَبْيَضُ, the white thread, min al-khayt al-aswad, from the black thread. The word min al-fajr was not revealed yet, from the dawn. So an Arab speaker looking at this ayah, he thinks of this white, black thread and white thread, and that is why not just Adi ibn Hatim, other companions, they have tied up a string which is white onto their foot, and another string to the other foot, which is what? Black. And they started eating during the night until they distinguished from the white from the black. And also Adi ibn Hatim, this is when the companions, when they understood this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed min al-fajr, from the dawn. The white thread means the dawn. Black thread means the darkness, until you distinguish the light from the dark. Can somebody just make sure this has got some drink in his throat? Right. So we understand now that Adi ibn Hatim actually he took a tala, not a string, a tala, which is, you know what's a tala? You use it for camels. Tala. White one and a black one. And he put them underneath his pillow. Where the other companions, they put it around their foot. This now, he put it underneath his pillow. He started to eat during the night, and he brings the white and the black from underneath the pillow. You can't see them, can't distinguish, it's still dark. He puts them back, and he starts eating. And he kept doing this until he could see. Now, no way that you will be able to distinguish the black and the white until you have what we call here the civil white twilight, not the nautical twilight, not the, the twilight which we're talking about, which is the red that goes from south to north. That's the red twilight. When you look at it through the east, it will shine up the big stars, and it will be enough for the sailor to sail in the sea, because you see the reflection of the light on the sea, in the water. But it's not enough for a person to, inside his house, to distinguish between white and black, because I said only the white stars, big ones, can show in the dark. So it's still dark. So when he had started to distinguish, it's well after the Fajr, the dawn, the proper dawn. So when he went to the Prophet ﷺ, as soon as he heard his story, he smiled and he said, "Inna wisadaka la'id." Oh, Adi, your pillow is big. It must be big. So he said, this is for white thread, black thread, from the dawn, from the darkness. He did not command him to do the day, compensate the day, because he was what? Ignorant. So the ignorance is a fact that we say it is important fact. The other fact, which is regarding the food and the drink, is remembrance. Prophet ﷺ, he said, he who had eaten and he forgot while he was fasting, then let him continue his fast. For Allah has given him the food and given him the drink. Allah at'amahu asqa, giving the food and the drink. Now here as well, if we see somebody whom we are sure about that he is fasting, and we are maybe sure about that because the first day that he forgot, and he's about to have food or drink, my position is to tell him off. Brother, you're fasting. And the brother response should be, Jazakallah khair. So the response like in this way should not remind you because Allah is giving the food and Allah giving the drink. That's not proper action. And the response, if you have acted in this and you said to him, brother, you're fasting, the response from the other brother said, why are you brother reminded? Because Allah is giving me the food, Allah giving me the drink. Also is a wrong response. I have to remind you because for me this is not right. And you have to say to me, Jazakallah khairan for reminding me. The other condition, which is the consent. Consent means I'm not under force. The opposite of consent is the force. If you're not forced, so the person under the threat of his life, that either you eat or we will kill you, then if you have eaten, then that will not consider to be what? Fast break. So eating with no consent. The other one, which is the intention. Intention means that you are not doing out of mistake. If you understand the opposite, you understand the concept. Intention, not a mistake. The difference between forgetting and making a mistake is as follows. I'll make an example so you understand between a mistake and the following. Between the intention, between remembrance. Person is making wudu. Now, he had forgotten that he was fasting. So while he was gargling and rinsing his mouth, he started, the water tastes nice. Then he swallowed. So, he intentionally drank water, but he didn't remember he was what? Fasting. Then Allah gave him the drink. The one which is the person who is making a mistake, which is intentional, which is a mistake is not intentional, is a person who remembers he's fasting. And he's making the wudu, and he remembers he's fasting. And he's making the rinsing of the mouth. While he's rinsing, suddenly, by accident, by mistake, some water went inside. When the water went inside, that's called non-intention or a mistake. That does not break the fast. What is the proof? رفع عن أمتي الخطأ والنسيان وما استكرهوا عليه. ربنا لا تؤاخذنا إن نسينا أو أخطأنا. It is the ayah of the Quran and also hadith from the Prophet. Allah don't take us responsible for what we do out of forgetfulness or out of mistake. And the pen is raised. رفع عن أمتي, not the pen is raised. My ummah is exempted from the following. Al-khata, which is a mistake. And nisyan, which is forgetting. وما استكرهوا عليه, which is being forced, compelled to do it. Okay? رفع. You're not taken into account for that because you've done it without your consent. So you understand now that 4 conditions applied onto the food and the drink and the drip. How many fast breakers we have mentioned here? 3. Food, drink, and the drip. The drip is an injection of food and drink that goes into food or drink, or both, into the blood. Any type of injection, apart from these 2 types, it does not break the fast. Whether it is a flu jab, whether it is fever, whether it is steroids, the injection, it does not. Even gives you nourishment. But it's not food, nor it is drink. So that we'll substitute the food and the drink, then it will break the fast. Second, fourth breaker, so the food, drink, and drip. Fourth breaker, the vomit, deliberate vomit. Deliberate vomit is that the person who deliberately brings the food out. So if you bring the food out deliberately, then it will be breaking the fast. If you did not deliberately, you have been overcome with it. It was stronger than you. Then there is no expiation for you, there is no compensation for you. The day is accepted. What is the proof? Prophet said, Man dhara'ahu, whom the qayt had overwhelmed him, overcome on him. Okay? He just couldn't really control it. It came out. Man dhara'ahu, and he was fasting, then there is no compensation upon him. But he who had deliberately vomited, then let him compensate, make up for that day. Right, so this is ijma' between the scholars. Now here I take this opportunity also to tell the brothers, if the person, and that's a good response as well, for verily, the person, if he had non-intentionally, wrongly, taken food, some of it in his mouth, some of it is gone beyond his throat, before the stomach. Now, he remembered that he's fasting. The food that he should throw up is the what? In the mouth. As for the one which is beyond his throat, even is capable of bringing it out, he should not do so. So if it was between the throat and the stomach, then you swallow it. If you take it out, it'll break your fast, because it'll be considered deliberate vomit. This is now number 4 breaker. Food, drink, drip, deliberate vomit. 5th breaker. Intercourse. Al-jima'. Al-jima' is whether it is halal or haram. Because you could say that a person fasting doing haram would be fasting. Yes, there are. if this person intercourse, halal or haram, now it will break his fast. This intercourse has to be an intercourse, meaning not touching from the outside. It has to be, I have to say the word, penetration. Al-hashafa taghibu fil farj. That is the head to go inside the vagina. And this intercourse, whether it is ejaculation or no ejaculation, it will break the fast. And the jima' is also under the same conditions, which is that if the person didn't know that the intercourse breaks the fast, it will not. Let's say it's a revert, as I said. If the intercourse, this person, he done it and he forgot, it will not break his fast. You might say to me, well, if he forgot, I don't think the lady will forget. Well, whether the lady or the man, they both forgot, we take it as an option here. So if they both forgot that they're fasting, it will not break the fast. We apply upon it what we apply about the food and the drink. Same thing. If they have done it under no consent, with force, it will not break the fast. So we apply this the knowledge, we apply it as well the remembrance, we apply the consent. And can we apply the mistake? Now this is what a mistake means, that the person, a mistake he had made intercourse. Now that's not going to be imaginable unless the person has been doing mubashara. Mubashara means wife, husband, skin to skin, no clothes. And he's fasting. And suddenly, somehow, the private parts went to the private parts inside, by mistake. Now, is that going to be considered a mistake? We apply here the following rule of that is the wudu and the garden. Prophet said, that is, when you are putting the water in the nostrils or into the mouth for wudu, do it vigorously, except if you are fasting. So when the person is fasting, should not do that vigorously. Moving the water vigorously to the mouth might result into swallowing it, or tilting up the head. So if you have been told this and yet you did it, even if by mistake went inside, it will break your fast because you've been told not to do it. So you're doing it, knowing the fact that it might break your fast. Burnt. Cooked. Same thing here with the mubashara. Person, he needs to know that Prophet ﷺ, he said to a man who wanted to kiss, he was an old man, can I kiss Messenger of Allah while I'm fasting? He said, yes, go ahead. A young man came, asked the same question. The Prophet said, no, don't kiss. What is the no here? Is it haram to kiss? No. It's an advisory no. You know advisory no? It's a no to advise the person. Advisory no. It's not a prohibition no. Because that young man, because one of the companions was listening, the Messenger of Allah, it was the same question, he gave different answers. He couldn't realize the difference between the age between that man and that man who asked. He said, as for that old man, he couldn't control his lust. And as that for that young man, it won't be difficult for him to control his lust. So the same thing here, if you are a person who knows from the fact that you're going to be kissing and you're going to end up intercourse, don't kiss her. If you're going to make mubashara with your wife, as I said, skin to skin, and then you're going to intercourse, then why should you do that? Does this happen? It does happen. A person came to me and he said, I don't know what to do. I reminded me of the man who came to the Prophet and said, I've had it. He said, I've had it. He said, I've had it. What? I said, I made an intercourse with my wife. Why? Because he was young, his wife is young, haven't seen each other for a long time, started with a kiss and then ended up with intercourse. Now 60 days, that's a penalty. And that's where the difference between the jima' and the food and the drink, which we're going to be talking about inshallah in a minute. But let me talk about the fast breaker, which is they are the ones اضطراري. All these 5 breakers I mentioned, I'm going to mention them again: food, drink, the drip, the deliberate vomit, and the intercourse. They are, we called it المفطرات الاختيارية. They are under your choice. You are the one who's choosing that. But there are 2 مفطرات which are not under your choice, and that is for the women: menses and postnatal. For verily, if the blood came to the woman just before sunset and when she was fasting, her fast is being invalidated. If the woman's menses blood did not stop until after the dawn, she cannot fast that day. But if her blood stopped before dawn, yet she did not take that ghusl until after the dawn, no problem, she may fast that day. That ghusl is an important ghusl, relies upon it number of issues. Number 1 is the man cannot approach her intercourse while until she has what? A ghusl. A woman should have postnatal blood or menses. She will not be approached until she's having a ghusl. Approach means what? Intercourse. And also, depending upon that ghusl, the prayer. And also, depending upon this ghusl, if this woman was reversibly or revocably being divorced, meaning first divorce, second divorce, and during the first divorce or the second divorce, she had 3 menses, where she's called cooling off period. That cooling off period, it does not finish by the stop of the blood of the 3rd menses, but it stops by the ghusl after that menses. So they say that the moment she's been divorced, the first divorce or the second divorce, we call them revocable, reversible. And then she's his wife for 3 months though, 3 menses, if she menstruates. So the first menses comes, he's still his wife. After a month, second menses, after a month, 3rd menses. When the menses stops, she's still his wife until she has what? Ghusl. Once they have the ghusl, then the marriage would cease. She'll be divorced. That ghusl can be delayed as much as the prayer. So if she had the blood stopped after sunrise, the Fajr is gone now, then she could delay that ghusl until Dhuhr for him if he wants to go back. Until though she's still what? His wife. But if she had the ghusl, she's a stranger. Now that is regarding the 2 invalidators which are not under your choice. Now we're coming to the Jima', the intercourse. Abu Hurairah narrates for us that while we are sitting with the Prophet ﷺ, a man came to him, said, Messenger of Allah, I've had it. What did he do? He said, I've been intercourse with my wife while I was fasting. The Prophet ﷺ said, can you find a slave set free? He said, no. Can you fast 2 months consecutively? He said, no. Then, can you feed 64 people? He said, no. So the Prophet ﷺ waited. And while he was waiting, came to the Prophet ﷺ a basket which is full of dates. And this basket was having like almost 15 sa', which is 16 mud. Each sa' is 4 mud, 15 multiplied by 4, 16 mud. Mud means the 2 handful. That's the mud from the dates. So the 60 mud for each poor person, there will be what? 1 handful. So this basket had 15 sa', each sa' is 4 mud, 4 to 5 and 15 to 11, 4 is 60, so there's 60 poor people. Okay? Each one is what? Mud of that date. He said, where is the person who asked the question? He said, me, Messenger of Allah. He said, take this and give it as a sadaqah. So the man, he said to the Prophet, upon somebody who is poorer than me, Messenger of Allah, by Allah, between the 2 mountains, Al-Harratayn, Labatayn of Medina, which is the known, you could say, lava mountains of Medina. Between the 2 Harratayn, I wouldn't say lava, it is like an area that had black rocks. There is nobody, or there is no family who is poorer than me. Prophet, he laughed until his incisors had shown. Then he said, well, feed your family then. Feed your family. So if this person, as I said, he had intercourse, he forgot, he will not break his fast, and there is no expiation upon him. And as I said, it's difficult for this to happen, but it might happen because whereas it's difficult because some of them, if one forgot, the other one will not forget. But it might happen. We mention it as a fiqh issue. Right? This kafara, which is the gharira, is only applicable if the following conditions are met. Condition number one is the fast of Ramadan. So if it is compensating the day of Ramadan, it does not happen. So if you have missed the day of Ramadan, you're doing it in Shawwal, and you broke that day by intercourse, it does not carry the heavy penalty. Do you understand me? There's no feeding of the sick. It's only in Ramadan. So if you made up for that day on a different day, not Ramadan, you made a day which you missed in Ramadan on a different day, and you made intercourse, that heavy penalty, kafara, is not there. Number two, that this happens that with both fasting is obligatory on both. If it's not obligatory, then no problem, because they could have a food and drink. Let's say they travelers, both of them in Ramadan. They could intercourse just like they have a food and drink. So they can really have food and drink. They could intercourse as well, and no problem about that. So that's the condition as well that we need to understand and bear in mind, that this person has the fast is obligatory upon him, and it's during the day of Ramadan, not during another day. If this takes place, then the following 4 acts will take place, and a 5th, which is controversial. So this person had intercourse with his wife in the month of Ramadan while fasting is obligatory upon him, then the following 4 points will take place. Number 1, the day is invalidated. Number 2, he will be sinned. Number 3, he has to fast a day. Number 4, he has to do the heavy penalty. And the 5th one, which is the negotiable one, that is, he has to abstain for the rest of the day, which we have no proof of that. Now, if the heavy penalty was freeing a slave and he has gone on slave, he has to fast how many days? 60 days. Plus that one, 61. So 61. Now that day, the 61, it doesn't have to be with the 60. It could be a one separate. So those are the 4 acts that will be implemented if the person had made an intercourse with his wife while fasting is obligatory upon him in the month of Ramadan. Does the kafara go onto the man and the woman, or only onto the man? The hadith that we have mentioned before, where the Prophet ﷺ, when the man had come and asked him, for verily, he did not say, and go and make your wife pay the kafara, the same thing. Kafara means you have to feed a slave and fast 60 days. And that is why some of the scholars, they said there is no kafara upon the woman, it's only the man. So Abu Dawood, the student of Imam Ahmad, when he asked Imam Ahmad, he who had intercourse with his wife in the month of Ramadan, has he got a kafara? Has she got a kafara, the woman? He said, we didn't hear about that. We didn't hear about a woman that would have a kafara, and he had to fast 60 days. But the Shafi'i, rahmatullah, he has got 2 sayings regarding this issue. For verily, the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ was mentioned, is a support for that opinion. Whereas the other opinion, which is Imams Malik and Abu Hanifa rahmatullahi alayhim, that she's the one to be blamed, the same thing, unless she didn't have a consent. That means her husband forced her. If she had a consent, then she has to pay the penalty, just like the man. And their response regarding the issue of that Prophet ﷺ did not make a kafara, expiation, onto the women in that man's story when he came to the Prophet ﷺ, is because the man, he came to ask for a fatwa. It's not a judgment, it's a fatwa. And a number of times when the Prophet ﷺ was approached by a person regarding, like for example, the zina, he would not go and ask about the woman. So you have done zina, you have to do this. But he will not go and ask, tell the woman that you've done zina with her to do this. So the Prophet ﷺ was approached by him, the wife of Abu Sufyan, she's the messenger of Allah. my husband is stingy, which is Abu Sufyan. Shall I take from his money without his consent? He said, take from his money bil ma'ruf. That means with consideration to ma'ruf, which is according to your need, not an open check for you. In that fatwa, Prophet ﷺ, he never asked, are you sure? Bring me Abu Sufyan, let me just see stingy or not. Based upon her fatwa, so her question, she claimed he's stingy. He said, well, if he's stingy like he said, then take from his money, even without him knowing, but bil ma'ruf, take it whenever you need it. It's not because I said, you give this hadith to the women, husband's pocket will be empty now. Straight away, that's hadith of him, she's, let's take bil ma'ruf. And bil ma'ruf here, that means, I don't know, God knows, 500, 1,000 pounds, it's bil ma'ruf for them. But if the jima' was repeated, do we repeat the kafara? If the jima' was repeated in one day, no kafara. And that's what we said when we said that the jima' if it takes place in the cause. We said the fifth, when you're negotiable, we said to abstain for the rest of the day, well, there's no proof. So you had made jima', you could make jima' the rest of the day. So the jima', if it's been repeated in one day, it's one kafara. But if it's done on a different day, then the kafara will be repeated. So you have to free another slave. You're having another slave another 60 days. So be careful of it. Imagine a person, he's been fasting Ramadan and every day he intercourse. So how many days he should be fasting now? 1,800 days. 1,800 days. Of course, each 60 days have to be with each other. Each 60 days with each other. And that is the correct opinion of Allah Ta'ala. As for the person who does jima' for the whole of the month, we say that each per day by itself. Now, if the kafara is not within the capability of the person, that man, he said, I can't free a slave, because having no slave. That man, I can't, he said, fast 60 days, because he's incapable, it's difficult for him. And that man, he didn't have what? Money to give the sadaqah 64 people. Prophet didn't ask him anything. And he said, when the man is waiting, some sadaqah came to the Prophet, he gave it to the man to go and give it to the poor people. And then he said, Messenger of Allah, upon poorer than me, I am the poorest. And he said, by Allah I am the poorest, even though he does not work with the socials. And I don't think he had known that he's the poorest amongst them. But he had made oath upon what we call in Arabic, غَلَبَةُ الظَّنِّ. Most likely he's the poorest. These 2 months that you're going to fast, you have to fast them consecutively. So they're not allowed to fast a day and following day and break a day. Now, if you have broken a day for a certain reason, like you were traveling, no problem. If you broke the day because you were ill, no problem. You broke the day because you forgot, no problem. You continue. But if you broke the day deliberately, without any reason, do we ask him to fast another 60 days? That's controversial. For verily our Shaykh al-Albani says, I don't have a proof to say that he has to do it again. But definitely he sinned for not fasting the days consecutively. Or Shaykh al-Albani rahimahullah said, yes, he has to repeat them again. He has to repeat them again. If he has done it deliberately with no legitimate reason, he has to repeat the 60 days again. But as I said, there is no proof that he should do them. Yes, it says consecutively, but it doesn't say if you break one day, you have to repeat them from the beginning. You'll be sinned, definitely. What time is the other? 50. 50. Now, what about, after that, the, what we call in English, I think is a proper word, masturbation, yes? The masturbation, which is for the man, with the hand of his wife. Does that break his fast? This is the issue that, which is most of the scholars, they say that any person ejaculates deliberately with his own consent, بفعل الصائم, he's the one who's done it. That means he had asked for it. Then his fast is invalidated. So, if we look at Sayyid Sabiq rahimahullah in his book Fiqh Sunnah, he says in the fast breakers, he says al-istimna, masturbation, whether the reason of it is the kiss of the wife or the hugging of the wife, the embracement of the wife, or was with her hand, okay, then it will invalidate fast and it will entail compensation for that day. Our Shaykh rahmatullah alayhi, Shaykh al-Albani, in Tamam al-Minna, في التعليق على فقه السنة, elaborate in that book, he said, there is no proof to invalidate the fast and to make it like the intercourse. For verily, this is not clear. And that is why Imam al-San'ani had said, we should say that there is no compensation and there is no expiation except for the person who had made intercourse. And to make the other issues like the istimna, which is bringing the semens and the sperm with deliberate to be similar to the intercourse, is something far to be fetched. Far to be fetched, I mean it's not really reachable, it's not should be feasible, should not be the case. And one of the things that would guide you, that to make an analogy, to analyze an analogy, to say that masturbation, that is bringing the semens or the sperm deliberately, just like the intercourse, there is a difference. Because those who had said that it breaks the fast, they did not say that he should pay the heavy penalty, which is freeing a slave. If he can't fast 60 days, or if he can't, then he has to feed 64 people. Okay? But they said, well, the intercourse is much more stronger than bringing the semens. But this is, we say that, this is not correct. As Shaykh al-Albani rahmatullahi alayhi says, that the origin is that there is no breaking of the fast. There is no breaking of the fast. Yes, intercourse is bigger, but we cannot really make qiyas on it and use it as an analogy. So that is why it is a very controversial issue. If we're going to talk about it in details, it might take us about another 2 classes. But we will summarize what we can regarding this issue after the adhan, after the prayer, bi'idhnillah. So for that reason, because I don't want to be in the middle, and this issue is very sensitive, so we want to deal with it after the prayer, inshallah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen, والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين وعلى من تبع هداهم إلى يوم الدين. For verily, the Shaykh al-Albani rahimahullah and the Imam al-San'ani before him, they see that the person, if he had deliberately brought his semens, his sperm, while he's fasting, it will not break his fast. And the argumentation of the Shaykh rahmatullahi alayhi, which is a strong argument, that is, if there is to be a kafar onto the jima', which is the intercourse, then in making this kafar in the istimna', which is to masturbate, to make the kafar more of a priority than making it compulsory on a person who makes an intercourse without ejaculation. Listen to that. The argument says that if, for verily, the ejaculation, which is the masturbation, it entails the breaking of the fast, then making a kafara onto that, which they don't do that. They don't really implement a kafara. Those who say that it breaks the fast, which is the heavy penalty, that is to free a slave, or fast 60 days, or feed 62 people, with more of a priority onto the person who masturbates than the person who is making it compulsory, then he's making intercourse without ejaculation. Making intercourse without ejaculation, which they don't do that. So look at this sort of contradiction here. And beside that point, we have other Salaf from the Salaf al-Salih, from the companions. They say that the mubashara without jima', making mubashara without the jima' does not break the fast, even if it ejaculates. And some of the ahadith here, we find it in Silsila Sahih Shaykh al-Albani rahmatullahi alayhi. And one of them is the saying of Aisha, when she was asked, what is permissible for the man to do with his wife when he's fasting? She said, everything apart from intercourse. Everything apart from intercourse. And Ibn Khuzaymah rahimahullah, in his Sahih Ibn Khuzaymah, he had made a chapter titled to some of these ahadith by saying, al-rukhsa, concession, to make mubashara, to touch the woman when you are fasting, skin to skin, which is everything apart from the intercourse. And he mentions in that chapter title the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, the hadith of the companions. Prophet of Allah, she says, كَانَ يُقَبِّلْ وَهُوَ صَائِمٌ. He used to kiss while he's fasting. كَانَ يُبَاشِرُ وَهُوَ صَائِمٌ. He makes mubashara while he's fasting. وَأَيُّكُمْ أَمْلَكُ لِإِرْبِ. And which one of you is more controlled to his lust? Here the irb means the intercourse. But we need to emphasize the following two facts in this issue. Number one, that yes, ejaculation without intercourse does not break the fast. And also making mubashara, touching your wife skin to skin, is something else. For verily, we do not encourage a fasting person, especially the ones who have strong lust, to make mubashara while he's fasting. Why? Being scared or fearing that he will go to the intercourse. So what we say, as the Prophet said, "Man hama hawla al-hima awshaka an yaqa fi." He who does rotate around the posture with his sheep is about to go to that posture. So don't go next to the haram, you might fall into it. So the Prophet ﷺ, he had made mubashara, he had made a kiss. You're allowed to do that, but you're not encouraged, especially if you have got a big, strong lust. Now, after talking about this, masturbation is halal with the consensus of all scholars with the wife. Regardless of the way that masturbation takes place, it is haram to take place with the person himself, whether it is with his hand or anything like this, himself doing it. But if he is doing it with his wife, whether with her hand or her body, that is halal, and we have no difference among the scholars regarding that issue. So that is something you need to learn, inshallah. Right. There's a hadith which is a man called Salama ibn Sakhr al-Biyadi radiyallahu anhu, who was a person who loves to make intercourse with his wife so much that he said to himself, if I'm going to be intercoursing during the month of Ramadan, I'm afraid that I might not pull out before dawn. So he's now doing the intercourse. Can I ask the brothers to come to this side so I could really, my neck is really empty in the middle and it's not right. Jazakumullah khair. So let's just do every time the class really in one, plane. So you go with my neck like that and like this. Jazakumullah khair. So this person, he knows that he's allowed to make intercourse during the night, but what he is not sure of is that when he intercourses during the night, he's afraid that he keeps his private part, in the private part of his wife, la yanza', he will not pull out until after Fajr. So for the sake of doing this, for the sake of not falling into this, he decided now to make zihar. Zihar means to say that you are like the back of my mother. Now the making the zihar like that is haram. But he made that zihar for a particular days. When you make it for a particular days, that means you're not allowed to approach your wife. For what? In that certain period. So he said, you are like the back of my mother, and for the month of Ramadan. Why? Because he doesn't want to approach his wife during the whole day, whether it's the day or the night. He thinks it's going to be what? Better for him, but actually it was worse. And he was afraid that he will keep himself into the private part of his wife before Fajr, after Fajr, thinking that it's going to be a big kafara on him. The kafara is going to be freeing a slave and fasting 60 days and all of that. It's too much for him. So that's why he said, it's better for me to make the zihar. And he doesn't know violating the zihar is exactly the same penalty. So if he violated the zihar and he approached his wife, whether it's day or night, now he can't approach a day or night, then it's the same thing. If you have done zihar of your wife and you have to approach her, then you have to make the kafara. The same kafara. The only kafara is similar to the kafara of making intercourse with your wife in the month of Ramadan when fasting is obligatory upon you, is the kafara of the zihar. As for the kafara of the killing with, which we call it cozy killing, that is not deliberate, it does not involve feeding 60 poor people. You free a slave, if you can't, fast 60 days, but there is no feeding 60 poor people. But for the zihar, there is. So he says, when I made the zihar during the month of Ramadan, while she was doing something, my wife, something had appeared from her body. I couldn't control myself. So hadith says, nazawtu or wathabtu. I jumped. Couldn't control myself. So he jumped now. Doesn't matter during the day or during the night. If he said during the night, he's not allowed to touch her during the night now. So he had jumped on her, made the intercourse. After he finished now, he realized. He went to the Prophet ﷺ, before he went to the Prophet ﷺ, he went to his family. And his family is from the tribe of Banu Zurayq, well-known tribe. Al-Biyadi is a branch of Banu Zurayq. He said to them, this is what happened. Can you come with me to the Prophet ﷺ? They said, no, we will leave you to go to the Prophet of Allah. We don't want some verses to come down talking about our tribe for the rest of the day of resurrection. Banu Zurayq done this, Banu Zurayq done that. You go on your own. Can I just fill up the gaps, brothers? Brothers, fill up the gaps, Ikhwan. Fill up the gaps and don't leave gaps. Allah is equal to that. The tighter you are, the better sunnah is, inshallah. So they said, you go to the Prophet. So he went to the Prophet and he told him. And it looks like revelation came to the Prophet telling the Messenger of Allah what happened. So you are the one? He said, yes, Messenger of Allah. You are the one? He said, me, Messenger of Allah. Let the rule of Allah, the judgment of Allah goes upon me. لِيَمْضِ عَلَيَّ حُكْمُ اللَّهِ. So the Prophet ﷺ, he said, free a slave. He did like this. Today, this morning, Messenger of Allah, I woke up, I owe myself. I owed myself, nobody else. لا أملك إلا نفسي. Stuck his neck like that. لا أملك إلا نفسي. Said, okay, fast 60 days. Messenger of Allah, I couldn't control myself from my wife for 30 days. You're asking me to control myself for 60 days? The whole problem came from the fast. I can't. That's understandable. So the Prophet, he said, okay, feed 60 poor people. He said, by Allah, Messenger of Allah, I just left my family without dinner. Without what? Dinner. I have no. So he said, okay, go to Banu Zurayq. Who's Banu Zurayq? His own tribe. And ask them for the sadaqah. Their sadaqah. And give it to your family. Because he's the poor. So that as well. His family is not 60 people. His family is few, but it shows that you could feed 60 people, or you could feed 30 people twice. You could feed one person 60 meals. Do you understand me? The most important is the if'am. When he went to his family tribe, he said, I came to you and I found harshness. And you have no, so that you were not spacious. When I went to the Prophet of Allah, I found mercy and spacious. Give me your sadaqah, yalla. So he took the sadaqah and gave it to his family. And this just shows you that the person is unable to do of one of these categories. There's nothing to do. There's nothing to do. There's a hadith talks about that man with this man, the other man, where the Prophet said, fast a day instead of it. Not this one man, because this man he had made bihar. The other one who had broken the fast, he said, fast a day instead of it. Right. Now coming to the Qada Ramadan, and that is inshallah will be left for next week. You found me maybe going slow. The reason behind this is the class will continue inshallah in the month of Ramadan. 8 o'clock is still the time. Okay, until iftar. Alright? From 8 o'clock until iftar. So the iftar is going to be next week round about, I think, 9 o'clock. Yeah? Something like this. Yeah, so we'll make it 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock next week inshallah. And so there will be 4 classes in Ramadan. That's why I'm going a bit slow. I was going before fast. I had to slow down now and make more details. So the class will be on for the month of Ramadan. Inshallah. Do you have any questions about what you have heard? Please go ahead. Uncle, we'll start with you.
You mentioned items clothes, can break your fast. I've seen people sitting in their office chewing their pencil to such a degree that saliva from the pencil and they swallow the saliva. So that's going to be fast.
The saliva, if it's mixed with something and that thing is not got particles, only flavor, it does not break the fast. But if that saliva is going to carry pieces of wood from that pencil, Uncle is asking about somebody's chewing pencils while he's fasting. If it carries that saliva, some of those pencil particles, then it will break the fast. But just the flavor of the pencil, because the pencil's got flavor as well, then that flavor does not break the fast. But the particles break the fast. We say to these people who chew onto their pencils, be careful, akhi. You might swallow the pencil pieces, and then it will break the fast. So the person needs to know that he's had to be cautious. Now, why should he chew with a pencil? We understand that you should maybe put toothpaste or siwak, but we don't understand that you should chew on a pencil while you're fasting. We should not be chewing papers because you might swallow it. All of that. So if you know that fact and you're still doing it, then there's no such thing as called a mistake here. There's no such thing, because you have been told. Man hama hawla hima aw shakan yaqafi. He who had grazed and he had heard, or you could say he had taken his sheep and he heard them around a pasture which doesn't belong to him, those sheep, they're about to go into that pasture. So keep away. Keep away. Keep away from the haram in order not to fall into the haram. Now.
Regarding feeding people, how those people needs to be adults or infants?
Feeding the people. Right. Feeding 60 people. When we say any feeding, 10 poor people, 60 people, for verily, it doesn't matter what type of people. So let's say, for example, we have a family which are poor, consists of husband and wife, and 5 children. We consider them 7 people. We don't consider them 2 people. So whether they are adult or not adult, they are poor people. And we feed them according to their meal, whatever the meal is. So you could just see here the 60 poor people was being given the 60 sa', each one what? 60 mud, each one what? Handful. Some of them, the handful will not be enough for them. Some of them it will be more than enough. Okay? So feeding the 60 poor people. Some of the kafara, it has to be from your average meal. Like for example, feeding 10 people if you violated an oath. That has to be from your average meal. So you cook for them. If you are doing meat and sometimes no meat, then you make half-half. If you are meat all the time, it's meat. Chicken all the time, chicken. So from your average food. How much does it cost? Now. Fadal.
So the threat of the person who eats while he's supposed to be fasting, can it be applied to the one who had intercourse and then he eats? When the Prophet saw some people hanging upside down on their hamstrings and their mouths were being torn and had blood coming out of their mouth because they were eating when they were supposed to be fasting. Can that be applied to the one who had intercourse and then he ate after having intercourse during Ramadan?
He had intercourse with who deliberately?
Yes,
A person who has deliberately intercourse with his wife and it wasn't the month of Ramadan or other than the month of Ramadan, and then it will invalidate his day and it will incur, if it's obligatory fast, the penalty. Whether he eats after it or does not eat after it, it doesn't matter. So the invalidation of the fast is not just food and drink, it's also the intercourse. So those who have been hanging upside down in that hadith, when the cheek turns off, it doesn't mean that because of the food and the drink.
I mean, according to should he be allowed to eat or he's not allowed to eat? That part of the discussion.
The part of the discussion we said. Remember when we said, person having an intercourse, 4 things will implement upon him. I'll repeat them again. Breaking the day, sin, and the third one, he has to fast day instead of it. Number 4, heavy penalty. And the 5th one, which is negotiable, which we did not agree upon, that he has to abstain from the food and the drink for the rest of the day. So he could food, eat and drink, because he validated the day. What's the point of fasting the rest of the day? Okay? Yeah. The 5th one is negotiable, but we said there's no proof for that, because he invalidated the day, so you might as well eat and drink. We don't really punish him by not eating and drinking, because he invalidated the day anyway. No. No, not bihar. I said the man in the first hadith, he has to make a day before. As for the bihar, there is no day because he made the intercourse during the night. The violation here is not for the fast. The violation is for the bihar. He's not supposed to approach that woman for that month. Okay?
So he doesn't have to do that one day.
No, he doesn't.
So he does this expiation, but he doesn't do the one day as well.
He did not invalidate his day, actually. He violated the bihar.
So the expiation, only if he makes bihar and then he invalidates the bihar, then it's the same as the...
Bihar, nothing to do with Ramadan. The man, he was making intercourse during the night. Nothing to do with the day. The day is fasting. It's his day is mashallah. Okay? So that dhihar, whether it's in Ramadan or outside Ramadan, if you made dhihar for continuously, like they said, dhihar, you have to pay that heavy penalty, which is the same as the penalty of that man. If you made it for those particular days, then you have to be in that day not approaching that person, that woman.
When you said Sahabi radiallahu anhu, he didn't know that he was saying bihar to her, and that if he did that, then he would have the same punishment. That's what it's the same as
You're mixing things now. You tell me one day you're doing something else. I don't understand your question now. Ahmed, you're jumping from one to another.
So if it's somebody is fasting on Ramadan, like Fadwa, and he approaches his wife in the day, that expiation, is it the same as the expiation if he makes bihar, he says bihar, and then he breaks the...
You're mixing up wires and things. I'm not going to repeat again, inshallah, not for the last time. First of all, we said that the person's dhihar is, we said, the dhihar expiation is exactly the same as the expiation of a person who is violating his fast by an intercourse in the month of Ramadan, while fasting is obligatory in both couples. Is that understood? So somebody intercourse with his wife in Ramadan and fasting, brother, come forward, come forward, come forward. Yes, jazakallah. And while Ramadan is compulsory upon both, because it could be traveling, then that entails free slave. Can't 60 days, can't 64 people. Same thing with the dhihar. The dhihar is as follows. Either dhihar general, anti alayka dhahyomi, you are like the back of my mama. Just like that. Then you have to expiate straight away. Straight away. Because you have done something which is buhtan, falsehood. But if you done it for, you are the back of my mother for a certain time, then if you did not hold that certain time and you approached the intercourse within that time, then your penalty is the same as the penalty of that person who had violated his fast in the month of Ramadan while fasting is obligatory upon him. Now that person, which is Salam al-Musakhar, did not invalidate his day actually. His day is there. He violated his what? His oath of zihar. He approached it during the night, thinking that if he did that, he will not have the same punishment. And we said a number of times, al-jahlu bil-hukm, that not to know the rule is different from the jahl of the uqubah, that is not to have the ignorance of the punishment. So if you know, for example, stealing is haram, and you stole, and then we brought to the Islamic State, not ISIS, Islamic State is a Muslim state, not ISIS. SubhanAllah, what we say all the time now, Islamic State but not ISIS. An Islamic State, what is the punishment of that? Amputation of the hand. Oh, I didn't know that the punishment of the stealing is amputation of the hand. I thought, do we exempt him because he didn't know the punishment? We exempt him if he didn't what? He didn't know it was haram. Let's say that he didn't know it's haram. So of course, he has to prove it. He didn't know it's haram. Okay? So if he didn't know it's haram, so this man who is Ma'az ibn Malik, he came to the Prophet and said, Messenger of Allah, Tahir, purify him. What have you done? He said, I've made adultery. Adultery means he was married and he had fornicated. So the Prophet said, go away. So he left. Following day he came. Messenger of Allah, I've done this. Tahir me, purify me. Go away. Okay. Did he know the punishment up to now? No. When he did this, he went to his family. What should I do? He said, go to the Prophet of Allah, ask him forgiveness. Wallahi, if he knew the punishment, he would not really confess. Why? Because the end of the story. Third time when he came, Prophet of Allah, he started to investigate now, sending some people. Is he crazy or is he? Because somebody who wants to have punishment like this, death, is crazy. They're crazy. Then somebody smelled him. Fastaknahu. Is he drunk? Maybe he's drunk. No, he's not drunk. Go away. Fourth time when he came, that's the fourth. Khalas. He said, Tahirni, the Prophet ﷺ. Now, he's going to make he didn't know that this time. He said, put him in front of the harra there, and companions getting ready with the khazaf, with the stones and everything, and they started throwing. When he saw this, he didn't know the punishment. He said, maybe they're playing with him cricket. Huh? He didn't know. They're throwing things on him. So he ran away. And he said, my family had betrayed me. My family, who's his family? The one who was looking after him, because he was an orphan. He was an orphan, was looked after. They really betrayed me. Well, his family didn't betray him. They didn't know even the punishment themselves. So he kept running away. He didn't know. If he knew, he would never come to the Prophet. And then Abdullah ibn Unais, when he had found him, and while he was running, got a jawbone from the camel, threw it at him, Wadif is called, killed him from one throw. Prophet said, you should have really let him to come back to me. Come back to me to want to know, maybe he changed his statement, because, because the Prophet of Allah, he asked a number of times. When he smelled him, did you embrace her? No. I made, sexual intercourse. Did you kiss her? No. Are you sure? He said, no. Do you understand me? So, yeah. And then he mentioned the word in Arabic, which I can't say it in Arabic. Not because the Prophet of Allah, A'udhu Billah, I'm saying rude and not rude. No. Because that word is only to be used whenever you want, whenever you need to use it. I can't use it, because I haven't got somebody in front of me now to go and, set the punishment on him. So he said to them, the word, which is equivalent in Arabic to English, F. The F word. Did you do that to her? Because maybe he doesn't understand. He said, yes. That's when the Prophet of Allah commanded for him to be stoned to death. So al-jahlu bil-hukmi, knowing that not to know the rule, is different from the jahl of the punishment. If you are jahl of the punishment, you're not exempted. You're going to be punished. I didn't know that amputation is the punishment of stealing. But if you didn't know zina is haram, something else. Like the man who came to the Prophet, Messenger of Allah, give me permission to make zina. Subhanallah. Give me permission to make zina. He didn't know the zina is what? Haram. Give me permission to give. Like maybe, He doesn't want to make zina except with the permission of the Prophet of Allah. Give me permission to make zina. What is the response? You're going to beat him up. So the Prophet ﷺ says to him, and the companion want to beat him up. Well, you asking the Prophet to give me permission to go make zina. But the Prophet said, hang on, believe in me. Do you like this to be done to your aunt, maternal, khala? He said, oh, but he said with his mother. Do you like to do it to your mother? He said, no, well, but people don't like to be done with their mother. Do you like this to be done to your sister? He said, no, I don't like this to be done to your sister. Well, people don't like to do what happened to their sister. Do you like this to happen to your amma, your khala, your paternal aunt? He said, no. He said, well, the people don't like to make it to their paternal and maternal aunt. Subhanallah. He didn't know, but he didn't like this. So even the zina, which he had wanted to take permission from the Prophet of Allah, is not acceptable to that person's instinct. Because he says, I don't like it to my mother. No, I like marriage to my mother. I like marriage with my sister. And that's when the Prophet ﷺ, he wiped his chest and he became a mu'min, believer. But he didn't know. So this person, he fornicated, definitely he will not be punished. He doesn't know fornication is haram. And that's why the companions want to beat him up. Why? Because in Quraysh, zina is not acceptable. Even they are idolaters, but they have got very high character, generosity. You could say strength against the oppressor, hilf, al-mutayyibin. This hilf, which is the cooperation, the alliance, or mutayyibin from the tayyib, the British dish full of perfume, they immerse their hands into it, and the Prophet he had witnessed that with his uncles, which is all the tribes will get together to protect the one who's being oppressed. The Arabs used to do that. They used to honor the months of the sacred months. And that's why when Hind, radiallahu anha, when the Prophet regained Mecca, and he said his speech, which is the pledge, تُبَايِعْنَ اللَّهِ عَلَى لَا تُشْرِكْنَا بِاللَّهِ, that you don't really associate anything with the worship of Allah, وَأَنْ لَا تَزْنِينَ, and that you don't fornicate. Hind said, oh, تَزْنِي الْحُرَّةِ, woman free would be fornicating. Even she was a mushrikah before, she cannot imagine a woman she would what? Fornicate. It's impossible. The free woman, yes, the slave they will, but not the free woman. So that is from their character before they embrace Islam. Okay. That's why the man, he said, he was going to be beaten up by the companion. He said, no, I don't like this to be my wife. I don't like this to be my mother, not to my sister, not to my maternal or paternal mother. Let's have one last question, please. One last question, sir.
Just regarding the traveling while you're fasting, we know it's permissible to break your fast while you're traveling. And how about during the stay in the place you are in? For example, you're going for Umrah.
Right. Question is that if I am traveling, I know that they have a concession to break my fast while I'm traveling. But what about if I stayed in the place where I'm traveling to? Let's say I'm traveling to Birmingham. And I stayed in Birmingham. Am I considered a traveller and the concession is allowed for me to break my fast? Is that your question?
Yeah, for example, the Umrah. Or
Whatever, you go to Birmingham. Umrah, Birmingham, I mean, Birmingham is less distance. Umrah is big, mashallah.
distance far away.
Yeah. The person needs to know whether he is in the process of the journey or he is in the place of the journey, as long as he did not intend iqamah, residential, into that place, and then he's a traveller and he has a concession. Now, the question was coming up from some of the brothers because of that he's relaxed now. He's not traveling. He's relaxed. No, he's not relaxed. Any person with a travel is not relaxed. Because, as I said, he will be jumping from one hotel to another hotel, from one place to this person to that person. He did not intend to stay. So, this person, as long as he's a traveler, then he has the concession. But we talked about that last week, talking about which is better, to fast or not to fast. So in the case of where you're a traveler and you stayed in that place of traveling where you find it now easy for you to fast, then it's better for you to fast. Prophet, he fasted not in a 5-star hotel where you're staying, while he was on a camel traveling to Mecca in the heat, and he was meeting the enemies of Quraysh to regain Mecca, yet he was fasting. So fasting is better. But if you think that it's going to be hardship on you, then The hardship makes it better, not to say even compulsory, to break your fast. Like companions, the companion of the Prophet ﷺ, they were in the desert on that day, heat and everything. Prophet ﷺ commanded for the saddles to be on the camels, to be ready. The ones who are able to do that are the ones who are not fasting. And the ones who are fasting really so tired. In the hadith, يَتَسَاقَطُونَ, falling out, one after the other. They can't move themselves. So the Prophet said, ذَهَبَ الْمُفْطِرُونَ الْيَوْمَ بِالْأَجْرِ. The ones who broke the fast, they took the reward today. So the ones who fasted did not take any reward. So the other ones took the reward because Allah Azza wa Jal will accept the concession of not fasting. They will fast another day. Also on top of that, they are the ones who looked after the ones who are fasting. So they have taken the reward. Well, they did not take the reward except for fasting. Now, تفضل. أكبر منك سنا.
If somebody fasts a young Jew and it falls on Friday, Saturday and Sunday and he inclines towards not fasting Saturday.
السبت. Let's get used to say السبت والأحد والاثنين والثلاثاء والأربعاء والخميس والجمعة. Not Saturday, Sunday, Monday, the day of the sun, the day of the moon, the day of the... Unless the person in front of you doesn't understand, then you could say to him, Al-Ahad, which means Sunday. We've learned always to use the thing which is the right, especially that name is a mushrik name. The day of the sun. That means the God's sun, the moon. So, back to the name of that. So, if the days of the Tashriq, not Tashriq, the days of the Bid, which is the days of the white night, which is the 13th and the 14th and the 15th of every lunar month, happens to be in the following days. Al-Jumu'atu was-Sabtu wal-Ahad. That means, for those who don't know, Friday, Saturday and Sunday. And I am from the ones who adopt the opinion that there is no fast on a Sabt, which is Saturday, except if it is obligatory, that is Ramadan, or making up for Ramadan, or a vow, or expiation. Okay, that's the obligatory. And I'm howling that opinion. What do I do with the day of a Sabt, Saturday? Do I fast it or I don't? Of course you don't fast it. So what, do I compensate a day? No, you don't. You have gained the reward of the 3 days, even though you're enjoying your food and drink. Okay. The day of the Friday. Because he says, and what do I do with the Jumu'ah? The Jumu'ah now is voluntary. Now if it happens that my 3 days, the 13th and the 14th and the 15th, that is Jumu'ah and Sabt al-Ahad, and I don't really fast Sabt, that means Jumu'ah is going to be singled out. The hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, he said, لا تختصوا يوم الجمعة بالصيام. Do not single Jumu'ah with a fast. Another hadith, لا تصوموا يوم الجمعة إلا يوما قبله أو يوما بعده. Don't fast Jumu'ah except the day before or the day after. Now, do I fast the Jumu'ah on its own? According to Shaykh al-Albani, no. You have to fast al-Khamis with it. So if it falls, then 13th and 14th and 15th, Jumu'ah, Sabt al-Ahad, then you cannot fast al-Sabt, but you have to fast with the Jumu'ah, al-Khamis. According to Shaykh al-Albani, no problem. You fast al-Jumu'ah, and you fast the Sabt, and you fast al-Ahad. Even according to Shaykh al-Albani, let's say that your day of Arafah happens to be the day of Jumu'ah, you don't have to add a day before. Do you understand that? So Shaykh al-Uthaymeen says the hadith which is لا تخص, do not specify the day of Jumu'ah with Siyam. I did not specify it because it happens to be a day which I fast. That is the day of Arafah, the day of Ashura, the day of whatever. It happens to be the day, fast the day of the following day. So I don't have to fast the day with it. Where Shaykh al-Albani, and very strongly as well, he says we cannot specify and make specification to the issue from two angles, because the Prophet ﷺ said, لا تصوموا يوم الجمعة, do not fast Jumu'ah except for the day before, the day after. And we know the day after is not allowed, then always the Jumu'ah has to have to be with what? With Khamis, except if it is obligatory. So Ramadan, compensating Ramadan, vow, and expiation of an oath. Naam ya akhi. What time is the adhan?
58.
تفضل.
بارك الله فيك وأحسن الله إليك. كفارة الجماع
English يا حبيبي. الله يبارك. let's say in English because problem is I have to translate any question. Go ahead.
كفارة جماع.
نعم.
هل is it مقيد بنهار رمضان ولا؟
Yeah. Kafara jima is the big kafara of the intercourse. Is it only in Ramadan or not? I want to leave that for you guys to answer. Is it in Ramadan only, or you could really have to do it even if you break the compensating of the day outside Ramadan? On Ramadan. We have consensus from the scholars here that it's only Ramadan. Now, the ones who did not ask question have priority. Now.
I do advise someone who says that masturbation has not been prohibited in the Sharia. They say, a bunch of friends said there's no proof.
Sorry, what did they say?
They say
Masturbation is not prohibited. Masturbation by the person himself?
They say there's no proof, and Imam Shawkani has that view as well.
Imam Shawkani has that view? Allah musta'an. MashaAllah, a very good student of knowledge to know Imam Shawkani what he does. Allah musta'an. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran. فَمَنِ ابْتَغَى وَرَاءَ ذَلِكَ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْعَادُونَ. The ayah is clear. Allah Azza wa Jalla makes it okay for you to intercourse with your wife. أَوْ مَا مَلَكَتْ أَيْمَانُهُمْ. Malakat, the slaves. Apart from the wife and the slaves, then he who had sought something else beyond that, then he is transgressor. Adun. I'tida. Now, i'tida here, is it major or minor? Minor sin. It is not a major sin. The istimna is not major sin. But I'm not saying, oh guys, alhamdulillah, no problem. Because if you keep insisting doing minor sin, it becomes major. Minor sin is not because it has not been entailed the curse or deprivation from the paradise or promise of the hellfire or no iman, you did this. Okay? But it's a bad thing. Very bad thing. So this person who says it's halal with Imam Shawkani, he might have said as well, qat. You know the Yemeni, that chewing thing that the halal according to Shawkani. Shawkani is halal. So what more do they want to? These people did it after, well, Shawkani, why Shawkani? Okay, why Shawkani in this? Subhanallah. As Imam Shawkani, he says haram, but they have misunderstood. Imam Shawkani's book is the istimna with the hands of the wife. Is halal. The hands of the wife, and he says, okay, that is with the consensus of all scholars. If the wife, he does it for the husband, halal. And if he does it with the body of his wife, halal. Sorry to talk about this among those people who got no wives. If you haven't got a wife, get a wife. Play. Fadl.
I work with aircraft and they have weather radar. So during fasting, I was exposed to radiation. And it's microwave radiation, it's quite powerful. Would that invalidate my fast?
No, radiation is not one of the fast breakers. So if the brother is exposed to radiation, God help you, brother. I mean, it might cause cancer, isn't it? Talking about this issue, I would like you as well to know that what time is your iqamah of your salah after the Fajr prayer in Ramadan? How many minutes? So, if your Fajr, for example, comes in at 3 o'clock, it's 3:30 the Jama'ah, well done. Well done. Jazakumullahu khayran for doing that. That is because it is safer for the prayer. I have been watching the Fajr for the last 3 weeks, almost daily, to see when does the Fajr come and how far is the Fajr in terms of correction times from our timetables. If I talk about the 12th of May, Luton is 25 past. So if I come to if you look at Luton, can you just look at the Fajr please, the timetable? Look at the 12th of May. Huh? 3, no, I want it exactly. That's on the bottom. I want it exactly. 3:20. Yes, no, because I was looking at it because I was investigating. Yeah, 3:25. The timetable of High Wycombe 3:19. The timetable of ours, which is in Maidenhead, 3:15. And it's supposed to be the opposite. We're supposed to be the latest because we are the lowest in Maidenhead. And High Wycombe is to be, okay, earlier than us. And you are the earliest because you are the highest. The higher you are, the earliest you are in the Fajr. Because when you're early, you see, when you are higher, you see the sun before us. So your Fajr will be before us. But the timetable is the opposite. Luton is 25, High Wycombe is 19, and Maidenhead, which is the low, is supposed to be her Fajr later on, not early, 3:15. There's something wrong. And then I keep watching the Fajr. And alhamdulillah, during the past days, except for 2 nights ago, which is the day of Al-Ahad, it was raining. I don't know if it's raining here, it was raining. But the day was Sabt, the best, which I recorded it, mashallah, and the day yesterday, which is this Fajr today. There was not a single cloud. Clear. Because what you need for watching the Fajr, number 1, horizon, empty, no street lights. Number 2, darkness. So no lights. And number 3, no clouds. And I had them very clear this Fajr. My observation was that, you know, the Fajr, the real one, comes in red, from south to north. Not the white one that comes from east to west, which is the lining Fajr. It's the real one. That one, it actually synchronizes very well in my place in Maidenhead, maybe in yours as well, with something called the nautical twilight, which is first light. There's 3 Fajrs. One is called the astronomical one, which is with these Darbandis and Hanafi, they do it very, very early, 1:45, 2 o'clock in the morning. And one which is nautical, and the other one which is called civil, which is the civil, almost daylight before the sun. So if I now ask you to, what is today? Today's Fajr for your 3:20 what? 24? 22. Can you please ask ask for nautical twilight or nautical dawn, nautical dawn in Luton, and see how much is that. Read it for me, please. Nautical dawn, Nautical, dawn in Luton. Can you give me the time? It's not going to be far away from the 3:24, from 3:22 you said. And the dawn nautical, which is defined as follows. This is the first light where the big stars will appear, and the sailor can sail, he knows what he's doing. And that's the first light. And there's a picture which is the red coming out. Huh? 3:29. So that's the real Fajr. So yours 3:22 is about 7 minutes. It's not far away. Ours is very far. Ours is very far. Ours is 3, because we're high. 3, you said 3:29, yes? Ours 3:34 or 35. From 3:35 to 3:15, that's 20 minutes. When yours is only 4 minutes. And you're waiting half an hour. But our place, they don't wait more than 15 minutes. So I'm not really fighting with them now. To delay it 5 minutes. So we're coming now with the Imam with the options. Option number 1 was that he could delay himself in the wudu. Negotiating. Option number 2, there's a clock there, make it about, 3 minutes slow. They don't know about that because the big digital clock, 3 minutes slow, they don't know. So give them 3 minutes, you give him 2 minutes, on top of the 15, alhamdulillah. Because the people will, they want to just get on with it. For them, if the Imam is not the Imam, the clock is the Imam. That's the problem. Because we're going to jeopardize the prayer. Otherwise, if the Imam doesn't do like this, I will pray with them and go and pray home again. Repeat my prayer, because my prayer is not going to be accepted. So you are well done to do that half an hour. That's well after. So you are allowed to eat until about 6-7 minutes after that time. In Samina? Most likely it is. Most likely it is, the nautical one.
So what about the sunset? You say sunset is, let's say 20 past, or the time it tells you on your timetable is 5 minutes or 3 minutes.
You have to measure, you have to do your homework. I have measured my sunset as well. So you go outside to an area where you could see the west clearly. You see the sun disk and start measuring when the sun disk of the bottom touches the horizon. And then time the clock until the upper disk disappears. Time the clock. How long from the lower to the top takes, let's say, 1.5 minutes, 90 seconds, or 2 minutes. Time it. Then you see when the upper disk goes down, what is that time? How much is it linked to my timetable of sunset? If there's a difference of 5-10 minutes, keep that 5 or 6-7 minutes all the way. So you know now that the sun sets 5 minutes before, it's always going to be before your timetable. Don't worry, your timetable is always after. It's always after. So if you have known, if you've done that for yourself, and if you know this is sunset, and remember, sunset in this masjid is different from the sunset where in your house, which is at the top in Dunstable, for example, which is high.
And the sunset, you worked it out, and when Google tells you what's the difference in terms of minutes.
No, Google does not give me the place where I am. Google gives me for Maidenhead. It doesn't give me for Maidenhead at the bottom, Maidenhead at the top. So you give me the general. So there's a difference between 3 minutes to 4 minutes. Yeah, but that's not good. Could be not the case here in Luton, because you have got an area which is very clear. You could see where the airfield, isn't it? When I go to the airfield as well to measure this time. What time is the event? 58. So last time I went, which is so today is Fajr. Yesterday I was preparing for which spot I'm going to go to, because I go to the spots. So I went to the airfield, the same thing, where there is a private aircraft, big field, the east and dark. But I wanted to make sure that I was passing by, there was no houses except for 1 or 3 or 4 houses. In front of it there was a man. He's topless because it was really hot that day, and they're talking about the day which is the day of Ahad, really hot day. So he's topless. So I went to him about 2 o'clock. I was talking to him. I went to him and I said to him, I'm a person who's trying to measure, the Fajr, this dome and all of that. Yeah, he's fascinated. Yes. And I'm just telling you that please, I'm going to be coming at this place which is there on that rural areas. There's like a lay-by in the road. And so you might find my car coming here 3 o'clock in the morning, so don't call the police. And he became friendly with me. So I said, as I talked to him about this, and he said, yeah, it's really dark. So I'm going to be from 3 to almost 3:45, 45 minutes. He was really interested in everything. I said, okay, we've got a book about Islam. So we talked about the book of Islam. What are you? He said, are you Christian? He doesn't know what he is. And then he said, I'm Afro. I'm an Afro. This one is a new religion. Afro. Rastafari? Yeah, Rastafari. Oh, Rastafari. He believes in the music. His name is David. English. And anyway, after we had a chit-chat and all of that, and he says to me, but be careful. This is the area of Windsor, because I'm there in Windsor. I said, why? He said, don't you know that the prince is getting married next week? And with all respect to you looking like this, and coming 3 o'clock in the morning in this area, and making a video. I said, I'm really not connected with the world. Really, I don't know about this prince getting married. But he said, well, the police, he said, can they come here? So, seeing you like that, and you watching like this, and the airfield and all of this. So we laughed about it. I said, I'll take my chances if they stop me, because I'm known, I'm an imam there, so they know me. And they might definitely know me. So they think that they're interrogators and they're going to question me. Well, it was interesting. So alhamdulillah, he said to me, I said, have you got dogs? He said to me, I've got 2 sons and 2 dogs. 2 sons and 2 dogs. But I'm not worried about the sons, I'm worried about the dogs. He said, they don't bark. And I came, alhamdulillah, and I stayed from 3 o'clock to 3:50, not 3:45, not a single bark. And I thought he would be looking out of the window. He's not far away, but he didn't, he was asleep. He said everybody will be asleep. So alhamdulillah, yeah, the nautical Fajr is the most closest time to the Fajr. وسبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك